Good evening. I'm Stephen DeHoo, and this is Fake Wesley Classics. Tonight we look back at some of Wesley's forgotten moments captured in photography. They're forgotten not because they were forgetful, but because no one remembers the stories behind them. Why, you ask? I do not know. But if you were to force me to guess, I would say because they weren't very memorable in the first place. But keep in mind that I'm not a good guesser. The decade was the 50s, and the world had mostly recovered from the World War. It was known as the golden age of television, 3D glasses, beatniks, sock hops, and poodle skirts. Here we can see an image of Wesley's famous potato dance from 1957. What a bunch of good-looking spuds. You can see, though, that they were a bit behind the times, with no poodle skirt in sight and nary a sock to be hopped. Word on the street is the winner of the potato dance was the couple who could dance the longest while holding a potato between them and withstanding simultaneous rounds from 100 potato guns. Now that's the kind of party I'm talking about, except for the potatoes and the dancing. A few more long-forgotten traditions from the Wesley Foundation in the 50s are found in these gyms, simply titled The Brides of Wesley. We had to do a lot of research on this one. It turns out that every woman involved with Wesley in the 50s was required to marry a man from the Wesley Foundation prior to being given their diploma. They called it getting a WF degree. I call it just plain weird. Rounding off these pictures from the 50s and returning to the topic of dancing, here we see some images from the long-forgotten tea dance. Supposedly the dance got its name from Miss Betty Jean, seen here serving the tea. The story goes that she loved to dance, but her husband was a beatnik who always wanted to stay home and write poetry, so she never got to go dancing. Her only outlet was this annual event, and she wanted everyone participating to meet her own selfish needs. So she had a habit of spiking the tea to get people to dance. She would get a crazed look in her eyes as she went around yelling at the top of her lungs, "Drink up, kiddos! The tea isn't spiked at all, it's just a little skunky. Dance your legs off!" Everyone thought this lengthy monologue was pretty strange, but as they drank more of the tea, it didn't seem to matter so much anymore. It is also rumored this event led to the formation of many couples in the Brides of Wesley album. Coincidence? You decide.
Yeah, so I came to Wesley because I saw a bunch of signs saying like free food and free tie-dye and just a bunch of stuff that they were giving out to students, and I really thought like there's no way that they're giving away free things and it's just free. Like there has to be some strings attached. But when I came, there was actually no strings attached, and I made so many friendships that I don't think I would have made if I never come to Wesley. I was able to go do some community service. We went on a few mission trips, and it was just I don't know, it really helped me grow into the person that I am today. If Wesley wasn't a thing, I really feel like it would have taken me a lot longer to get where I am now, because there were so many mentors here at the Wesley Foundation that they really helped me get through college. They were showing me how to become just a really great student and just helping me get through college as a freshman, and that helped me grow. And being able to come here, that's helped me do the same thing for so many younger students. If the reason I think you should give you should donate to the Wesley Foundation is because everything that they do is really for the students in the community, and I believe whatever they receive in any donation that they get, they're definitely going to use it for the better the community around them.
Brandy and Ricky are two college students involved in the Wesley Foundation. Tired of the cafeteria food and the overabundance of rodents in the dorms, these two homies designed their own recipe of freshly grilled rats. Here they are serving a nice heaping plate of all burgers to a fellow member. I can just picture the bite-sized steaming meat and the crisp coiling tail. That's what I'm talking about. They sold these bad boys for about $1 each and used their earnings to throw a big toga party for the girls in the Mu Mu Kappa fraternity. Randy was hoping to impress them with his rat grilling skills, but before he had the chance, Ricky burnt the inside of his left pinky and demolished their grill in anger. The famous all-burger meal was never to be eaten again after that. Here we see Sam McCarson's father, Steve. Steve loved to throw Halloween parties for the youth of Cullery. He had a lot of success until one fateful night in 1970 when the children turned on him after watching Children of the Corn. Steve was never the same after that. The Wesley Haunted House went on a long hiatus, 30 years to be exact. It wasn't until 2010 when Steve's son, Sam, started a new haunted house called Hillbilly Horror. The only profit he made was a single $1 bill with a mustache drawn on Washington's face in pen. However, Sam still confidently exclaimed that nothing but a pandemic could stop the McCarson legend this time. Now in 2020, that exact thing has happened. Pandemic and no Wesley Haunted House. Thanks a lot, McCarson. In the year 1980, George Weekly single-handedly dried up the NC pork supply with his famous 90 dozen or bust hot dog sale. Everyone knew the kids studying Hunter Library were starving around midnight, but there were no food options back then and no one was doing anything about it. No one except for George. He asked Mom Lane, "What is it people crave most at midnight?" Her answer would live on in infamy. "Hot dogs, you idiot!" George knew she was right and knew he could make a killing for Wesley, so he asked the students, "How many dogs do we need to feed these kids?" To which they responded, 86 dozen dogs, George." He explained, "Why, that's nearly 133 dogs." George, always a fan of the Blues Brothers, threw on his shades and black hat and said, "We're getting the band back together." Everyone looked at him like he had gone crazy. In fact, they all whispered in unison, "He's gone crazy." He knew what they were thinking, but didn't care because hot dogs actually did make him crazy. At midnight, he got the dogs and quickly proceeded to drive around campus on his motorcycle, throwing hot dogs at students in front of Hunter Library. After pelting a student with the dog, he let out a cry of, "You owe me $1." George saved Wesley that night by raising $132 in under an hour. Here we see a lost image from the 1983 Women vs. Men Broom Hockey Battle. This was a fierce competition, and each group talked smack for months leading up to the annual event. In this instance, and in many instances, to be honest, we were the one remaining female and male students battling to the death. All the elderly gazed in horror as this couple engages in the most brutal fight of broom on broom. Blood was spilled and tears were shed. At the pinnacle of tension, the opponents locked a fierce gaze, attempting to intimidate each other, when almost magically the tables turned, and through the intense gazing they realized they'd fallen deeply in love. They dropped their brooms and fell into an embrace. As a matter of fact, this couple can also be found in the 1984 Brides of Wesley album.
When I first came to Wesley as a freshman, I didn't know anyone on campus. It was my first weekend in college. I saw a flyer advertising for Deep Creek, a picnic and everything, and I decided to go. When I got there, I met the nicest people that were so welcoming, and most importantly, I found a community to support me while I was at college. Since Wesley is centrally located, we draw a lot of students, even if they just come for Thursday night meals or splitting firewood, which is important to help out the community. Wesley is very important for community outreach, such as splitting firewood, going on mission trips, and in order to keep these up, we need your support. We thank you for all your donations, and we hope you continue to support Wesley.
Through the decades, Wesley students have enjoyed attending WCU football games together. This particular 1984 game was sold out. At the same time, the famous KFC Chicken Bucket Challenge was making its way around campus. Believe it or not, the more recent Ice Bucket Challenge originated from this WCU tradition. Here we see Mikey with his bucket of chicken, dying to get in on the action. Mikey was known to be a joker and risk-taker, much like his protege, Zach Georgopoulos. Notice the combined look of pleasure and mischief on his face. Mikey's expression was much different a minute later after he playfully dumped his bucket of chicken on the head of the football coach. Mikey was last seen flailing and screaming as he was carried away by the entire WCU football team. If any of you manage to track him down again, be sure to let us know. Here we see Mike Poston performing his first exorcism on Mike Yao's uncle, Mark, assisted by Roger Justice, who's not pictured. Mark, just like Mike, was always known for his happy-go-lucky attitude, plentiful smiles, playful dancing, and killer guitar playing. However, on a dark, moonless night on the way to the road to nowhere, Mark was perusing the Brides of Wesley albums. Soon as he arrived at the middle of the tunnel, he was possessed by a disgruntled former girlfriend who was still very upset by the breakup. She was sure she'd be the next in the Brides of Wesley album, but Mark ruined that dream. Now she was determined to ruin Mark while leaving him with nothing but a blank stare. Ironically, this made him even more attractive to the ladies. I don't get it, folks. Just don't get it. As a side note, despite really enjoying himself during this experience, Mike Poston no longer professionally performs exorcisms, and instead pursues a fulfilling career in exorcism sister field, pest control. Now that's what I'm talking about. Here we see Manning, Willie, and Justin on one of the legendary Wesley trips. When the Great Recession hit in 2008, Wesley was forced to abandon the more well-known and costly sites of New York City and instead head to Uncle Buck's Odds and Ends Museum. Uncle Buck was the original Tiger King, but with Netflix still being just a delivery service with scratched CDs, this is all the documented footage we have. Here we see Wesley students with a taxidermy lion, one of the better attractions at Uncle Buck's place. In fact, it was the only attraction other than a live 200-year-old alligator snapping turtle, but when Willie tried the same pose on this turtle, it ripped his arm off. He ran around screaming, "My arm is gone! My arm is gone!" But since he was always pulling tricks like that, no one believed him. There's a picture of that too, but it's way too graphic for you viewers at home. That ain't what I'm talking about. Here we see the 2019 Wesley Intramural Indoor Field Hockey team. These guys were amazing. They easily won the WCU state and regional tournaments. Upon reaching the nationals, they realized they were highly outclassed, not in skills or tactical training, but in their ability to psych out the opposing team. Team captain Josh Cockrell had the idea of wearing ludicrous headgear as a form of psychological warfare. Everyone thought it was crazy, but they believed in his leadership. It was a long shot, but somehow it worked. The team crushed Ohio State in the final, 49-0. Their captain stated, "We just couldn't quit looking at their headgear." Now that's what I'm talking about. When asked how he felt about his brilliant tactical move, Cockrell famously responded with a statement that is still revered today. Good.
I was at Western from 1971 to 1975, way back, and Wesley Foundation was my centerpiece. I made that my home while I was on campus, and we had George Weekly and Mom Lane, who were our saviors. They led us through the good times and the dark times. We had hot dog sales, we had concessions, we had weekend trips to different places. We even had streakers in our time. Wesley Foundation set the tone for me for the rest of my life. I established friends while I was there that I continue to be friends with and come see and visit with. And you can do the same thing, but Wesley needs your help. It's an opportunity here for you to give, like I do, to support the needs and the activities that Jay and the rest of the group put together. I hope you will consider giving and be a part of the process for Wesley Foundation in the future. Thanks.
One of the most popular Wesley outreach events in the 80s was the beginning of the semester volleyball game. It drew in many new students. Susie, a habitual joker, loved to secretly switch out the traditional ball with a white bowling ball when no one was looking. Attracting new students to Wesley wasn't Susie's best quality. Tommy was one of Wesley's best and brightest. While attending WCU, he was well known as a strong Christian. You could tell that fact about him within moments of meeting him. Tommy was such a perfect Christian that he was selected to participate in the worldwide Christian Gladiator Games, where Christians from around the world are selected to fight and die in Roman-style arenas as an homage to the persecution of ancient Christians. This photo captures the celebration after Tommy receives his summons in a gilded red envelope, announcing the date of Tommy's death and subsequent martyr status. Way to go, Tommy! Once again, I'm Stephen DeHoo, and you just watched Fake Wesley Classics. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an appointment at the Fake Smokers Anonymous group that I must attend. Self-improvement and recovery. Now that's what I'm talking about. Thank you, and good night. Here we see Mike Poston performing his first exorcism on Mike Yowza. Don't know what's happening.
The Wesley Foundation here at Western Carolina has been the cornerstone of my success in college and continues to be one of the main reasons why I consider myself to thrive here at Western Carolina. Wesley is a place that has just been a home away from home for me. I mean, I wasn't too happy here when I came, but this is the most inviting place I've ever been to, and has given me friendships that will last a lifetime, and it's given me a true sense of purpose, which you'll find all around our building and in our community. The phrase, "find your true purpose" here, which I believe is 100% accurate. But this is it's more than a place than just Thursday nights. It serves as a place for individual growth, spiritual growth, and peer and staff support when you're either going through a rough time or a celebratory time. They're here for you thick and through. It also gives the word church a positive meaning, especially in this day and age, where we go out and help others in the community and just foster this amazing environment. Obviously things are different this semester at Wesley, but one thing I really want to focus on here is that through your financial support, the legacy of the 2020 Wesley will be that we were able to take a bad situation going on in the world and turn it into something positive for our students and our community.